Good morning, everybody. All right. It's good to see everybody here today. Good morning, Ernie. Let's take a brief overview here today. Happy Friday. $8:30. Just 20 minutes. Non-farm unemployment, average hourly earnings. We are set for some fireworks here. Euro US dollar on a 60-minute chart. We have a situation where we're in a window of selling pressure, historically speaking. And they're waiting for the non-farm also. Of the last 1, 2, 3, 4 selling pressure windows, only one of the 4 allowed a puncture, and that puncture contributed to a, what is that, 522.78, so that's about a 40 pip impulse move up out of the puncture area here. So bear in mind when the econ comes, it may be worth buying at this point to capture anywhere from a 20 to a 40 pip impulse move out when they trip the stops. Okay, so that's the Euro USD. The Great British Pound US dollar also in a selling pressure window until 11 a.m. this morning. We did have in the last selling pressure window, 10 o'clock last night, substantial drop. The market was essentially moving down off of these structural highs on the pound dollar. We had a nice leg to the downside into this buying pressure window at 115 this morning, and there was actually a structural pivot put in place. There was an attempt, but then an abject failure of the move, and then a puncture of there. So now, with regards to the current price in the pound dollar, the opening price was at 42.25, and we're just hovering there. We do have a structural new low, but we're maintaining prices underneath the opening price at 245, which shows weakness, but no new lows. Waiting on the econ here in just a few minutes. Looking at the 6E, the euro currency future, again, market's in a sideways pattern. 818 is projected to be a buying pressure signal. 836 projected to be a selling pressure signal. Here's the usual suspects, the four horsemen of the apocalypse. From right to left, we've got the DAX. The DAX attacks has been in a slow downtrend all morning. Just going to come in here and modify my indicators to get rid of any kind of pattern marking, especially pattern 4 and 5. I just want to have it plain Jane for y'all. So from last night forward, with the trend down, we'll be looking for punctures of the white line. This first attempt, this first puncture, Nathan, the stop was taken out right here. And then Earl, the second puncture took place right here with the stop just above the candle. That was the second place to go short in the DAX. Third place was at 451 last night. Then we also had a puncture here, forgive me, a puncture here that was stopped out, followed by another stop out at 7:15 this morning. So this this pattern historically, Earl, generally precedes, when you start to see these punctures like this, generally precedes a bottom. Okay, so this area in here, Earl, this is intentional in that they're showing signs of wanting to continue higher. They're tipping their hands. They can't hide their bluff. There's a horse in a stable and it's pushing the gate to get out. And that's what these little wonky things are showing. It's like, all right, come on. No, not yet, not yet. Come on. No, not yet, not yet. So 842 becomes a really interesting pivot in that sense of that would be the next time that horse is left unrestrained, where the buyers are essentially given free reign to do what they're going to do. Okay, makes sense? So let's keep an eye on that. don't want to be counter trend, but I want you to be aware there's an opportunity here at 842. Over on gold on a 5-minute chart, we're at the 810 signal into 840 is a buying pressure window. If we drop that down to a 1-minute chart like we usually do, we'll see that there are more signals to contend with. Econ in 11 minutes. Here we go. I'm just going to drop the dot spacing down to where it was. There we go. We'll go with 3. Okay, so put this over here. Emini S&P. Oh! Downtrend is still in place. We're waiting for the econ. There was a nice drop down at 255. 505, we had a puncture here. Nice little slap in the face of the people who are continuing to get on board. The down move, 630, we had a leg down, but it basically stopped. So on the ES here, if I'm reading this right, the price opened at 28.05 quarter. And when we finished at the end of the buying window, Ernie, we were just where we started. So coming into 8.05 here, this tells me that they were coming down. They tripped out the stops. And this was an important nexus, Earl. This is where they got people in one last panic move. So this price right here was sort of a reversal point where from this movement forward, right up to about here, is a trend reversal window. Everything in terms of what happened at the stop run and the lack of advancement in terms of price by the end of the 630 window tells me that as of right here, the uptrend may begin on the ES. Does that make sense, everybody? That remains to be seen. But in terms of time, I think, again, they've tipped their hand if you know what you're looking for. On the NQ, uptrend, you can see, Ernie, that this is the ES after the fact. So Earl, you see here how they came down to that white dot, and then at 7:03 we had that first puncture right here, and then I'm sorry, the first puncture was at 642, the 642 window at 654. Chris, we see that first little pop. Nathan, we see that second little pop, and that portends the uptrend right here. As soon as you see that, these two areas right here, this is a place where the trend was expected to continue higher. So if you compare that to the Emini S&P, that same kind of effect is kicking in, but the tech stocks and the quarterly earning reports are driving this NQ surge right now. Okay, so we'll be watching those here post haste. Another 8 minutes. Crude futures, we have a climb above the moving average. We had a down move. Oh, this is a 3-minute chart. We'll go down to the 1. Excuse me. Good job, Ernie. Okay, crude futures on a 1-minute chart, just to get some time this morning looking at setups. Last signal when the trend was down was 744. 744 followed by 751, had no puncture, followed by a puncture of the blue line here. This is the first area where the uptrend is expected to begin. Next signal up was the 819 signal in the direction of the trend, anticipating a 2-to-1 risk reward off of that trend entry. 97 was the break-even point. 96 was tagged, and we're 1 tick under that original entry area. So far, looking good. All right. Give me 1 second. Target hit on the CL long should be all flat. Stand by 1 second. Okay, everyone, I'm back. We have just a few minutes to go before the econ. I'm going to sync my clock just to make sure that everything is connected properly. Okay, so my computer clock is synced to the National Institute of Standards and Time. The last signal that we had here was a direction with trend entry here at 819 in crude futures. We had an upwardly sloping 120 period moving average. We knew to be watching for a potential entry here. And so at the close of that candle at 89, we were looking with a risk just below the white dot. The dot is set 3 ticks away from the low of the candle with a 150% extension for a break-even plus condition. We move our stops to break even, and then a 200% extension, essentially double our risk to achieve our rewards. So the 819 signal, good opportunity there so far, all the way at the 300% target. We're waiting on the news report. Again, on the ES, we're watching for a potential move up now into 845. We'll see what happens here. 830 is now past us. Here comes the stop run. The key area right here obviously is this low. This is where people are going to be selling. An aggressive entry on the ES would be a buy order right here, just above that high. Once the stops are swept below and people are panicked, won't take much to get them panicked here. If I can get my mouse to work, it'd be wonderful. There we go. So anything above this line tells us that the stop run is complete. Keep an eye on that. NQ, stop hunters going after it. If you are looking for short entries in the direction of the trend, the first place would be a puncture of the white line at 57.75. You'd have a pretty big stop though at 64. Okay, so 64 to 57. That's too large of a stop for us. We have a $100 max risk here. Okay, gold is down. In Earl, we're watching the Dax on the 3-minute chart right now to see if they'll push up off at the 842 signal. I'm going to drop this to a 1-minute chart now that the econ is out of the way, so we can get a more defined view of what's going on in here. Get rid of all those things that we drew in the preamble here. Okay, this puncture of this blue line indicates very strong buying pressure on the DAX. We were watching for buying pressure coming out of the econ. Damn if it won't film me. Okay, and we'll put a stop just below that candle right here. Looking for a 2-to-1 risk reward. See if we hit it. Okay, coming into 834 on the NQ. It's going to take the market a few minutes to sift through the crazy here. Over on our euro-dollar 60-minute chart, remember we were in a selling pressure window from 5 a.m. From the econ, the market's dropped from 491 to 460, essentially 31 pips straight down on the pound US dollar. We were watching for selling pressure here at 245, and after the economic report, we dropped from 24 down to 172. So 2 instances of knowing what to look for going into the report, telling us what to watch for on the Forex pairs. Okay, on the NQ, if we're practicing trend entries, it's aggressive because we're still in that window of selling pressure. The heck is going on? I don't understand. This is a simulator. Oh, now it kicks in. So the appropriate entry would be right here. That's where I tried to put it before my ninja freaked out. Matter of fact, that's where it's supposed to be, right up around there. Even if it gets stopped out, I just want to demonstrate the appropriate area to look for that short. Your stop would be 1 tick above the dot, which would be at 50. It's in the direction of the trend. So once you know the risk, you know the reward, you can identify how far you'd like to see it go. And so far from that entry, it's gone. To our break-even point. So now, Nathan, we move it to break-even +1. Our target is right here at the 200% mark, right? Free trade, can't lose any money on the trade. We're at break-even plus, looking for the 200% to get hit. 200% is hit, and we're flat. Okay, so anatomy of the setup. Ready? Here's the review. At 834, there is a higher than average chance that the market will go down. We're below the moving average, which is a trend indication of what direction everybody is going. At 834, the entry is at the close of the candle. When we understand where the close of the candle is, that provides us an entry point. The dot is a key marker in terms of understanding if the price will continue up or down. We put our stop just on the other side of it, which is set 4 ticks from the high. And we're looking at that risk now from the stop to the entry. Once we know that value, we can apply a fib with a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. Minimally 150% or 1.5% of that risk is a break-even point where we say no more. I want the market to give me my 1 tick, even if it comes all the way back. Okay, so now at 836, the cleanest trend entry would be a close above the moving average. Okay, as of right now, you can be short again because it punctured that white line. I missed that entry right here. Okay, if you took a short entry right here, your stop would be 1 tick above the puncture line. I'm watching for a close above the moving average for a potential long entry in the NQ. Over on CL at 837, Nathan, you have a short entry. This is another signal with trend, caveman style entry. For those of you with the warp, it's showing a pattern 6 right now, which is a trend reversal signal. The entry would be at 79 short. Your stop would be 1 tick above the line at 84. So there's a 5 tick risk right now, Nathan, on this trade. Looking for a 10 tick reward. Drawing tools, remove drawing objects. So presently, setup would look like that. You're risking 5 ticks to make 10. You didn't get to your break-even point, I don't think. No.
Order filled. Order pending.
Okay, in terms of time stops, we're now 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minutes into the setup. And so far we haven't seen much gusto, much force, much energy driving the market down. So Nathan, that can be a precursor, an understanding that the opportunity for the banks is on the table. The algorithms have permission to sell short, but they're holding back. You see what I mean by that, Nathan? We're staying at the same price that we started at, even though they're allowed to sell. So Melissa, when you see that kind of a setup here where there's a stall or almost a surrender, we'll call it a false surrender pattern. We surrender. We're not going to sell. We promise. We're sick of this war. It can be a strong indication that this thing is about to pop up and go the other direction. They had the opportunity to sell. They had permission. They're in the window, and they're not. Okay, there's a pressure building up right here. I like to watch about 5 minutes before I reach my I can't stand it anymore window. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4. We have about another minute and a half to go before I can't take it anymore. All right, if you are short in CL, you are up 7 ticks right now. Your stop should be at break even +1. GC, you had a signal with trend at the 840 signal. Next signal is at 906. At the 840 signal in the direction of the trend, Nathan, using the same techniques that we talked about, the entry is at the close of the candle. The stop, if you're following a trend, basic suggestion would be to have your stop above the dot here at 0.6. Your entry is there. You're up a few ticks in the trade with your break even down at 1341.9. NQ, watch its reaction now against the moving average. 845 is the next selling pressure signal. CL, you would be break even right now, and I'm looking for a pop up on CL. So I'm actually going to look for a buying pressure above the moving average breakout. I'm going to look for 6 ticks right away if it pops up out of that. Kind of chip away at it and see if we don't grab something good. Next buying pressure time is at 8:55 on CL. Here's our NQ. We're looking for a crossover setup. We're going to get that in 40 seconds. So I'll be watching that very closely here. Again, we were waiting for that 8:36 time to produce that reversal. Whew. That might be a little rich for my blood. 69.50, 5 is 74.50. So that's my $100 max risk right here. I can't enter without risking $100. 69.50, 74.50 would be there. We're at the 8:45 signal. On the NQ right here. And that'll provide another opportunity here. So we have 208, 2807.50. Ernie, you should have a nice little bump right there from that. And I'm going to put my stop below that candle and turn this off at that point. Okay, 8:45 closed on the NQ. We don't have to worry about the crossover candle right here. Again, we couldn't enter long because if we did at this candle, it would have violated our max risk of $100 per setup. Now at 8:45, we're watching for a breakout right here. Just above the blue dot. Our stop will be below the puncture candle if we get hit. So I'll put my sell stop down here, ready to put it in. There it is. So now our stop is one tick below this candle right here. Looking for a minimum 1-to-1 risk reward on that breakout. The DAX is moving up. I got taken out on the first stab, or it took out my stop. And now this is over 1,000 euros now, up since the 8:39 signal. Okay, so I'm going to have my target right here. Move my stop to break even. I'm trailing it behind each of these candles now. I'm being very aggressive as it gets near my target here, following it up. I don't want to get all of that lost. The DAX is infamous for taking back what it gives you if you're not careful. Come on. Come on. Pick one or the other. All right. So that was over 1,000 euros on that nice push up right there. I'm going to take my NQ trade. I'm going to move it past break even right here as we hit my break even component. And my sell limit is up at 200%. As I get into the 150%, I can be more aggressive if I want to be, but I don't want to get out of the trade for anything less than 1.5 my risk. So if you feel uncomfortable up here, just take it in that little zone right there. You have permission to get out. But did everybody understand, Carrie, why I got in at the 8:45 breakout? Okay, again, that was a vacuum of power, a false abandonment. At 8:45, we were expecting the market to drop down. We're expecting the market to push back. We're looking for this, right? Or we're looking for consolidation. Okay, so in last night's webinar, for example, we were looking for, excuse me one second, I just have to, 85. My minimum stop is 5 ticks on CL. 85, 95 would be 2-to-1. Same breakout concept here. So last night we had this picture of what we expect to see happen. So sell dots in an uptrend right here, this very Sesame Street picture, right? Sell dots in an uptrend will either push away if the behavior pattern was recurring, or consolidate if the behavior pattern was recurring. What we want to see in terms of a trend entry is a violation of that signal. That tells us that the trend is continuing and that all of the selling is finished. They've flushed out all of those sell orders. People are buying at the bid and we're continuing. So very easy. When you guys want to take a screenshot of this, or if you want, I can put one in the chat box here for you to kind of print out later. This is a really nice way of identifying what to look for when we get to these times, what kinds of behavior patterns are expected. So I'll post a link into the chat box here. Yeah, Tim, it's very similar to the shelf trade. That's correct. You guys over here can have that as well. Okay, so we'll position everything back. On gold, if you were short from this signal that we were talking about earlier, I didn't have a chance to get a fill. Your first target was 200%, and you're now full on your 200% target. So we were waiting for the 840 signal. The market dropped down to our break-even point at 17 ticks and just hit the target right after that at 20 ticks. So that would be a $200 per contract move in gold straight down. Dax hit that target. It's coming all the way down. The next signal is at 858. Following signal is at 907. CL isn't moving anywhere. CL is not moving anywhere right now. It's kind of stuck at the open. It's not hitting the stop. It's a neat 5-tick stop. It's not a big deal. But if you're uncomfortable with the fact that it's not moving in your direction right away, breakouts should move in our direction right away like that. You can close the position out with a small loss. NQ, if you did go long at 849, you had a small stop out as well. We're going to see that about half the time with the trend trading system. So in here, if you were long rather, you had a 5-tick loss on that trade. Same thing on the CL side. We have big winners and small losers, and that's what we're trying to achieve here. So we'll clear the board, start with a fresh outlook, looking for new additional setups. Okay. $855 is the next signal on CL. Crude won't be open now for another 8 minutes, so if you want to wait for some volume to come back into the market, you can. This is the first indication of a trend reversal in the Nasdaq right there. So when we see a time violation like this, it's telling us that, hey, there's a really good chance the trend might be going down from here on in. So we'll just put a note right there. Even though the moving average is up, it's a very strong indication that the trend might be reversing and going down from this point forward. On the ES, the signal to go short was at 845. 845 was in the direction of the trend. It has not violated the stop. It came within one tick of that right now. And so looking at the ES, if you were short, you would be up 2.25 points, 2.25 points right now off of that short entry. On the NQ, we could be looking for a crossover setup, Nathan. That's a candle that looks for a close below the moving average after this failure. So Nathan, after this failure here, it's telling me there are no buyers. There is the advantage of a crossover trade. If you're looking for a trend trade, the 120 EMA trend line rejection setup, or the TLR, we know how powerful the 120 can be on the NQ. We are in a buying window. So if you wanted to take a shot at it, the current moving average is at 72.50. And you can come after that with a 2-point stop. Gary, you could enter on the close of the 845 signal. On the close of the 845 signal. So that price would be 28.08 quarter. 28.08 quarter. Over on gold, we're expecting this move down to stop into the 906 area. Okay, we're expecting the move to stop into the 906 area and possibly start to reverse and or go sideways. If we look at our cheat sheet, green dot in a downtrend, when we get to those points, like right here, we'll see that the market will either start to retrace up or go into a consolidation area with some stop run stabs below. So nothing to do on gold. If you are shorting gold and you have a second contract, you made it pretty far down, waiting for that next time window at 906. Over on crude, we've got a market opening here in 3.5 minutes. Let's just sit on the sideline and wait for that to get past us. Good morning, Nick. Okay, so we didn't catch the trend line rejection on the NQ. We're back at the opening price right here from the 849 candle. This is the price that started all of it. We've had some really strong signals on the NQ right now. My prediction for the next punch point is going to be at the 1/3 split. So Earl, the first split was right here. That would be our down arrow. That happened to be a pattern 4, right? So we had pattern 4s right here. I'm expecting this now to continue higher in the NQ until this bar right here. So this is a positively energized time bar right there on that green line, using the time signals from the warp as a guideline. We'll see what happens when we get to that point here in just a second. If there is a rush of energy into that bar, this is going to be a high energy bar right here, based completely on time. Woo, Melissa, I'm in the zone. I can feel it. Natural caffeine surging through my body. The adrenaline of it.
Order pending.
72.75. 70.75.
Order pending. Order filled.
We're at the moving average. Let's see if we catch a bounce here. Trend line rejection set up with an 8-tick stop. Four ticks, 6 ticks, 7 ticks against us. 3 ticks against us, 2. Come on. This was the bar I was waiting for the high energy to move to occur. Let's see what we get. Come on. Come on. It's trying. What are we doing? We're going to get something. There you go. There she is. I found you. So I'm not going to play with it any longer, but I was excited just to catch that little Kumasiyama right there. Let's see what else I can find for everybody here. On CL so far, Nathan, we had a selling pressure signal with trend, a puncture trade. So Nathan, you would be short in CL right now, 62. Stop above at 79. You see it, brother? 79 to 72, 7 ticks of risk. When you have 7 ticks of risk, how much reward are we looking for minimally? Right there, target filled. 2 trades we're going to look at over and over again. Signals with trend all the time. Puncture trades. Puncture trades. Signals with trend. Okay. They're really working well this morning. $902 trend trade coming on CL. This would be another trend entry. NQ right now, we're below the moving average. We've closed below the moving average. Nick, we can watch for a puncture below this line right here. So if we're looking for a trend entry, we could be watching for a short down below 69.5. The market is behaving like a trend right now. Melissa, do you see how the bars are going sideways right here? Okay, at a buying pressure time, that is most closely matches what's going on. Excuse me one second. That most closely matches what's going on in this box right here. Green dot bars are going sideways is what the market does when it's in a downtrend. So we're watching for the breakout bar right there. Coming into 905 especially. 902 signal in CL that we saw coming a mile away. Stop is above the blue line right here. Entry short at the close of the line is at 62. 62 to 77 is a 13 tick risk. That's outside of our max risk window. So the earliest I could enter would be at 67. So this is a non-starter for us if you have a max risk setup involved. Okay. Those of you using Time Warp, you're also seeing the pattern 4 patterns kick in here. That's telling us that there's a strong chance of this reversing. Okay. NQ, we're getting that puncture right here. 935, 905 is coming also. We're also getting reversal signals in the NQ right here with our Time Warp pattern recognition. Okay, so that would be a very aggressive trade. If you want to let it go, you can let it go. Gold people were coming into the 908 time window that we were waiting for. So if you are short in gold, this is an area where you'll start to see consolidation and a potential retracement back up. Over in the DAX at 858, we're looking for punctures to the upside of this line right here, or you can wait, choose to wait until the 907 buying pressure signal. No puncture on the NQ as of yet. 905 signal is coming. That candle will close in 5 seconds. Clearing the board, looking for potential entry now at 905. We do have it. Enter at the close of the candle. Very small stop just above the blue line. Looking for it to go down. Testing the market with small probes. Over on CL, we can enter here with our stop just above, looking for a substantial retracement back down. NQ looking for our break-even position to get hit. Come on, move down. Push it. Push it. Ah! Didn't quite touch it. Got to leave it alone. Gold at the bottom. If you're looking for a counter trend reversal area, gold has reached the bottom point right here. All right, NQ took out the stop. Nothing to do here but sit and wait. It punctured the blue dot, and I'm looking for a close above too. So in 15 seconds, I'm going to try a long entry. Whoa. Damn it. It's too far. The risk is too high. I have to wait. Yeah, the risk on that would have been pretty big. So that would have been the earliest I could get in with that stop. $908 is coming. That'll be a potential entry in the direction of the trend. 910 on the ES is coming. You also have a long entry in the DAX at 907 on the 1-minute chart. Potential entry here with a stop just below the line. Looking for a 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio. Would be right here. Possible NQ entry long right now. $75 to $80. It's about a $100 risk right here. See if there's any follow through. Again, we risk We risk 100 to make 200. We risk 50 to make 100. We risk 75 to make 150. So we lose about half of the time. We win about half of the time, but our winners are about twice as big as our losers. That's how we continue to go forward here. Okay.
Order pending. Order filled. Order pending.
So I'm going to test that NQ long area one more time. Earlier, you're at 150% of your Dax trade. So from here, target filled, that would be $25 of Dax movement. So gosh darn it, man, that's some pretty hefty Dax earnings today. Those two trades alone, that's a car payment, right? So again, we're looking for trend entries right here in the direction of the trend. Trend is up. This window of time telling us, listen, last time we were at 907, the last few weeks, the banks have pushed higher. You can see here they rode that wave one more time into a new high. Have your stop just below the dot, 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, done. So we're stalking these time windows, right? We're stalking these windows of time. We're kind of daring them to do it again. Do it again, I dare you. You guys ever have parents that said that to you? Do that one more time. I dare you to do that. I dare you to tell me to shut up one more time. We didn't have any such warning system in my house growing up. No such warning system. Okay, on the NQ, with that small test, I'd be break even by now. I'm just hoping to see, or looking to see if it'll pop up here. Okay, no good. Bill Cosby of date rape fame had a joke. He once said, "My parents had a belt. It was 6 feet long and 12 feet wide, and it had hooks that would tear the flesh off your body." I remember that routine. My parents had a Bill Cosby record when I was growing up, and I played it on their stereo when they left me home alone one day. And I remember listening to it, thinking that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. Yeah, Tim remembers the letter to Russell, the brother with whom I slept. All right, on CL, you've seen some movimiento. Your break even. The long cold winter is over. Okay, you're allowed to get out, but CL actually did us a nice favor. Let's go do the review. Okay, we'll do the Australian trade review. Ready? 902, we had a selling pressure signal. This 902 line indicates that these you-know-who's, these mother blankers push the markets down. Last several weeks, software is like, not going to have any of that, mate. We're waiting for you. However, at the time when the candle closed, the risk was way too big. No sense chasing that candle. Our max risk is no more than $100. That's US dollars. So we have to wait for the market to pull back up into our risk window. This is the maximum amount that we're willing to play the game. Once we've achieved our risk profile, we then demand the market move 200% of our movement down, waiting for our investment to mature. Once it hits the 150, mate, we're like, thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to lock my risk down. I don't want to lose anything that I've gained. Market takes us out 200%, trade over. We're now coming into the 914 signal. This is a white dot in a downtrend. We can see from our very astute, professionally produced quadrant system here, we were expecting the market to go sideways, stops down for grabs of weak positions. There's an opportunity to enter short if we break through the dot. After that big trade, though, some of you might be scared to go after it. So over here, if we take a look, Nathan, here's the close of the white candle. There's the white line right here. You see it, brother? Close of the white line. Stop goes above the puncture candle. Again, I'm only demonstrating two setups here. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Once you understand where your stop goes and you've identified an entry point, right? Here's number 2 in a row. You put your stop right here. You put your entry right there. And now you got into your exit window, right? 150 to 200%. You're minimally break even, aggressively out with another chunk of change right now. So once you hit the 150, your stop comes down one tick below your entry. You're looking for your target to get hit. If you didn't already get out at the 200% mark, one tick away from that. Makes sense? 2 of the setups in a row. Trend entry in the direction of the trend, pullback to max risk, puncture entry below, looking for an impulse move, stop grab down beneath, probing for weakness right before they reverse it and take the trend back up. How do I get the line to draw at the dot? In the Time Warp software, James, there's a parameter called last dot visuals. You see it right there? So last dot visuals right here, you want to blow that up. You want to put your last dot price long, set it to white, your last dot price short, set it to blue, and then turn this parameter where it says until next signal. Okay? Make sense? Last dot visual, and I turn the open price line off. Ding, ding. Yeah, I also have my dots set 3 ticks from the low or the high of the candle. My dot separation. Ah. All right. 918 signal on the NQ is a pattern 6. When we see pattern 6, they tend to reverse and go up. If you're playing with no patterns, as some of you are, you have an opportunity to go short right here at 58.73. A more conservative way to trade that using the caveman method that I taught each of you is to wait for it to pull back to the dot. Okay, so there are two trades available. Number one, you can trade it short right now at 73 with a stop above at 76.5. That's the first iteration. Second iteration is to say, no, I'm going to enter at the dot with my stop above at 79. So there's two trade possibilities right here. The more conservatives waiting for it to pull back to the blue line. What does that look like? Yeah. So if you're going to trade it conservatively, we want to have an entry here with a stop here. Otherwise, you are short right now in the NQ looking for a target down here. This is a mixed message signal. So aggressively, you're in right here looking for 150, 200% of your investment. Conservatively, you're waiting for it to pull back. On the DAX, we were waiting for a selling pressure signal at 915. 921 is the next buying pressure signal. You can hang on for another, how many seconds? We should see another explosion of buying pressure or a consolidation area here. Market will be open in 10 minutes. This is a great opportunity for me to take my prerequisite bathroom break. Because if I don't, the market commentary will degrade very rapidly. I'll be right back. Great job, everyone.
Order filled.
Oh wow, it filled us. Cool. That's kind of cool. Nice. Break even on the NQ. And buying pressure signal at 9:30. Will it come all the way back up? Before it takes us out? We'll see.
Order pending.
That was nice. So again, we're waiting for buying pressure at 9:30. The next selling pressure is
Order filled.
going to come here at gosh, 9:41. Okay.
Order canceled.
So that was a good setup. Software predicting that we would see a buying pressure energy wave here right at the open. We definitely got it. Over in gold, we had a potential short entry at 923. Very low risk. The risk on there was 5 ticks. So the banks broke through that. Gold is now behaving like an uptrend, which means 932 has the potential to be a large move up. $922, if we use the same methodology that we just used, waiting for a pullback because of this pattern 6, we would enter short at the blue line. The original risk was 44 to 38, 6 ticks. So 6 ticks, 43, 49. This would be a 6-tick loser right now if we traded the open. So that would have been stopped out. 930 pressure wave still cranking right along here. DAX, the last signal was at 921. It's hovering around the open price here, Earl. This was the open price of that that signal, which tells me that the DAX is very weak right now. It's not going up. It's just hovering there. As we get closer to 936, there's a higher than average chance this thing's going to get down below the moving average again. 932 on gold is a selling pressure signal. It is below the moving average. There's a part of me that wants to go long in gold right now. CL, I'm looking for a short at the white line. NQ coming back down to the MA, you have a potential for a moving average rejection setup. Over on gold, you have the same setup as CL right here.
Order pending. Order pending. Order filled.
Okay. Short on crude.
Order pending.
Looking for a breakdown. You should see 6 to 8 ticks pop right down underneath that very quickly as they try to trip out stops. If you're a scalper and you just want to grab that and run, you can. Those little breakouts can be very important. GC, very, very small risk right here.
Order pending.
See what happens. We got 5 out of that, 6 out of that. Come on. 957, going to break even. Can't lose money on the trade. 6 ticks on crude. That can be, if you want to go for just a scalp, that's a good place to exit, to take the money and run. Break even hit on gold. Nice entry. Good execution. Nothing to do now until 9:44. We clear the board. Okay, CL, we're not seeing the immediate burst down that we want to see, Melissa. So it's okay to exit the trade with a small loss or a break-even position right here. CL isn't going down. It's 3 minutes into the setup, and we're just sitting where we started at a time where we're supposed to see things go fiercely in the other direction. Do you understand? So it's okay to say, you know what, I don't want to play this game anymore. No, thank you.
Order filled. Order canceled.
NQ buying pressure window at 9:30. We have until 9:41 until that kicks in. Fascinating. Okay. That's neat. Coming into the selling pressure signal, 9:15 on the DAX. Gold was supposed to drop at that breakdown of the 932 signal. It's hovering near that price line. There goes the crude trade. I chose to get out, but the direction was correct and the targeting system was correct. Yeehaw! 9:41 is the next time signal. on the DAX. ES, the signal extending from 910 is a consolidation area. It's a classic downtrend on the ES right now. Yes, Carrie writes, effectively you were describing a time stop as opposed to a price stop. If the expected move does not happen more or less on schedule, then the trade is timed out. Yes, Carrie, that's what I did. I hit my 5-minute threshold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was enough for me. So compare what's happening in the ES right now. Can you see that consolidation area right here? When we frame it with time, like that, Carrie, take a look at how that pattern is behaving in respect to what we would expect it to look like, which is that lower quadrant. It's the same setup that we just saw in crude at 932 on a 1-minute chart, right? Do you notice how the price patterns, they just repeat? So what do you think will happen here on the ES, if you had to guess? 941 signal, Nathan, Chris on CL. .941 signal on the NQ. Okay, you guys are doing great today. Don, I'm not sure if other customers are using it. You're the only one I know of lately that's told me what size chart they're using. Most customers don't tell me what they're doing. Okay, pattern 4 and a pattern 6 on CL. Caveman entry, Chris says we should wait for it to hit the blue line to sell it. The original risk would be from 19 to 27 or 8 ticks. So 26 plus 8 is 34. We'll see what we get. The DAX wasn't advancing at all, Earl. Shame on you for not reminding me to move the chart. Okay, so on the DAX, the signal with trend would take us above, currently would take us above the blue line here at 862. CL, we're short based on the pullback from the selling pressure signal. I'm hoping to get 65.10. Aggressively, you can look at 65.14 as a target. NQ, we're waiting for a close below the moving average. To look for an opportunity to short that market. We have 33 seconds until that occurs. We can get our order ready and see if that's going to happen or not. CL, you're up 9 ticks down to that bottom. If you want to be aggressive and scalp that, you can. It's had that touch now 4 times at the bottom. Okay, no way I'm going to leave that much risk on it. 5 ticks minimum. Tighten it down to 1 tick plus. I want to see it drop here. I don't want to see it hit the bottom 4 times and then take out our stops. And we had clear proof that there was something going on at 65.16. Again, good entries. We're focusing on good entries, good executions of those entries. NQ, for example, right here.
Order filled.
Stop just above that crossover candle. Candle crossed above the moving average.
Order pending.
We have no clue what it's going to do here. Our guess is that if we've caught the banks at this behavior time appropriately, that we should see a push down. We didn't. Came back up and hit my stop. But we tried. Okay, same thing. GC, we have a pattern 2, a selling pressure signal at 944. If you're trading that, your stop is just above the blue dot right here. You're currently looking for a target down below. You're at break even presently. Crude, we're moving our stop to break even. There it is, 150%. Our exit would be at 65.10 for a total 2-to-1 risk reward, but anywhere in this window would be permissible to take profits. Let's tighten up our profit. We don't want to lose all of that we made. Touched our target. I'm out.
Order filled.
Don't fool around with that crap.
Order canceled.
Successful CL trade. Woohoo! Successful GC setup right here. Woohoo! 200%. Bazinga. Good setups, everybody. Can I explain the pullback trade on the CL? Okay, so as you know, the software, the warp especially, tells us in advance if it's a pattern 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, or 7. And those of you coming to Vegas, we may have a pattern 3 ready for you by the Las Vegas training event seminar. So of those, these are the signals that affect the caveman entries. So normally, Bruce, when we have a setup, it's just a really clean pullback at a selling pressure candle, and we're expecting it to drop. But every once in a while, Bruce, we have a signal that will occur kind of near the bottom of the move. And instead of entering short here and going down, when we have a 6 or a 4, we're expecting a reversal first. So Chris, what I do is I target that dot line. My original stop area was this. And then Chris, I transpose that original stop area up. Basically, I trade a pullback instead of a get in at the candle close. So I enter here, I have a stop here, and I'm looking for that original 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. Does that make sense? So again, Australian trade reviews. Normally when we see a pattern 6 in the markets, price has a tendency to reverse. I don't want to be standing here with my hat in my hand because I know what this pattern produces. I wait for it to pull back up into the dot. My original risk area is above my head. I figure let's take a shot at it, reduce my risk because I know a pattern 6 pushes the markets higher. I take a pullback trade with my original risk, 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, and I'm out. As opposed to getting in directly at the candle close, which would be foolish, understanding what a pattern 6 generally produces more consistently than not. And again, you guys have that. If you don't have it, I'll get you a copy of the book that describes how a pattern 5 or 6 comes to be. Well, when a pattern 4 and a pattern 1 love each other, they want to show each other and express that love. Copy link. So go ahead and make sure you have a copy of this book. And those of you in this room, let me know if that comes through. And if you look at what a pattern 6 generally produces, whoops. No, that's not what I wanted. What are you doing? There we go. What? Try this one more time.
Order filled.
Here we go. So pattern 6 is one of the last patterns in your book. And you see here, Chris, what's generally expected out of pattern 6? It tends to reverse and go the other way. So if that's the case, Chris, I want to catch that surge back to dot, as opposed to getting short here, understanding that pattern 6s generally go that way. Now I'll miss some trades. Sometimes the trades will go straight down, but I'm learning to deal with that. I'm having a better time. Okay, gold, you had another entry. Reload Ninja Script. Good morning, Bjorn. Good morning, Bill. So that was a sweet setup in crude. Gold, we had another entry here. Clear the board. Same setup, same two setups. 948, Chris. Here's the entry at the close of the candle, 948. The risk has to be 5 ticks minimum. 38.2 would be 38.7. We're looking for a 10-tick reward, which is right here. So back-to-back targets filled on gold. ES, again, I told you this a few minutes ago. You were looking for a short entry. Right here is the crossover. Okay, your risk on the trade right now is here. Your entry was short there. You're looking for a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. Break even for you is 27.98. 27.98. The next time in gold, or CL rather, is 958. That'll be the reversal buying pressure time. Whew. Over on the Euro 60-minute chart, we were looking for a drop. We spoke about it at the beginning of the webinar. So far, since the webinar started, the market has moved from 24.91 down to 24.37, nearly 60 pips straight down off of that 1-hour signal. We also were watching the pound US dollar. When the webinar started, we were right here. Price dropped from 42.25 down to 41.37. So using the timing software alone, we were able to intercept what the banks had planned for that market, and we watched it drop straight down into these new lows. Okay, ES, CL, NQ. 949, we had another entry short on the NQ. Again, puncture trade, same setup. Watch for them. I can't call them all out when I'm talking about the 4 different markets. We're watching for it to cross below this white line, punch through it. Once we do that, we know that the risk is above the puncture candle right here. We have an opportunity to go short right there. So this becomes a short entry in the direction of the trend. We have permission to do it because the banks are no longer selling or buying at that time. They've stood aside. We have clear, wide open permission to sell in regards to that. ES, you're short from the breakout of 2802. Your first break-even point has been hit. So now you're going to move your stop, Nathan. There's your stop from above that candle. You're going to bring it to a break-even condition right here. Okay, brother? So your net +1 on the ES trade short, looking for a target of 96.5. Target hit 96.5. You should be out of that trade all flat. If you're going to continue to hold on to it, a 300% return on your investment would be 27.93 3/4. Okay, 200s get hit pretty frequently though. What a session, huh? We're doing really good. We've had a bunch of really great trades, including a €1,000 long on the Dax earlier today. Let's try that. Okay. Let's see, how often does that work? It's pretty sporadic, isn't it? Yeah. All right, let's juice it up a little. I'm playing with Bitcoin here. And Melissa, I've got a Bitcoin feed. Ron set me up with one the other day. And I want you guys to see, if you trade Bitcoin futures, we have a pretty compelling argument for using the timing software, wouldn't you say? What do you guys think of that? This is a 15-minute Bitcoin futures chart. So Bitcoin, again, using the 2 entries, Nathan, we had a short at 2200, a short at midnight +15 Eastern, a short at 1700 this night. And then Nathan, there were two entries. We had a short at 11:30 here with a stop out. We came back down here and we touched it. That had a stop out. And then we finally broke through and it came down. And then again here at 9:45 this morning. George, I got Bitcoin data. Ron set it up for me using Kinetic. Yep, there was also a short in Bitcoin here at 3 o'clock. So I think there's a lot of money to be made on the correction in Bitcoin, and all the signals have been short. I actually made a video on our YouTube channel tracking Bitcoin intraday. If we use the split technique between these two signals, I'm curious to see. Yeah, we're looking for down here and looking for it to reverse there. As we move out on the time frames, we go to a 30, go to a 60. We're seeing those same kinds of behavior patterns. I liked it on the 10. That was really nice. I've been tracking it on the daily as well, using the intraday signals as a guide. And I've been waiting for a stop run here on Bitcoin right where we are. You can kind of see where I'm expecting it to go. Back up towards the 11,000, 12,000 range. Gary, I'm not sure what the Bitcoin tick value is. Juan, you want to see something really cool? See, that was kind of cool. That was the first thing I tried when I got the data feed. Honest with you. Okay, CL, we had another puncture trade right here at 958. Those of you that are paying attention, that's where it crosses the line. The stop is at 72.3. So the stop is at 73. Again, Nathan, 73 to 53. 63, forgive me. No, we had it right. 53 would have been the break even. So that puncture right there, looking for 6 to 8 at first, so far has gone down 11 ticks straight through that reversal point. On the NQ, there are two ways to trade this. Number one is a breakout below the low. The other is a pullback to the blue line. Again, that's our pullback trade on the NQ. Yeah, George, you have to get into the you have to register each week. The rooms change each week.
Order filled.
Okay, so there's the pattern 5 puncture on the NQ, pattern 4
Order
puncture on the NQ. I'm looking to see if they'll come down and take out the lows here. 2 to 1 would be
order pending.
down below us here. The second iteration of this trade would involve risk. The risk would be here. 37.50 plus 5. It's 42.50 would be my buy stop.
Order pending.
So if this trade fails, then I have a backup trade up at the blue line. Yep, Nathan, you're absolutely right. Okay, so this trade in the NQ is working.
Cancel.
I'm moving my stop to break even early because it's a big risk trade. 10:06 is opposite buying signal, so I'm not going to jerk around with this. I'm going to follow it very tightly. Wow.
Order filled.
Woo! Nice short. Get your buy limit out of there. Ah!
Order
Very good. Very good. Excellent. Excellent. CL, you're also out of your trade. Hit 200% of your target. What a great morning. Boom. Second one. Boom. Straight down. I'm telling you guys, this is the way to do it. Time is the most important factor in determining market movements. Don, your number one source for that is Ron. He is actually working directly with the programmer on that very issue right now. Okay, so it is being addressed presently. On GC, your entry is at the close of that 10:02 signal. You hit your 200% again. Okay, I'm teaching 2 setups, guys. 2 setups, ladies. There are variations of them if you want to get more advanced and have a little more precision, but for the most part, that's what we're looking at here. Okay, over on CL, here's another variation of that pullback trade right here. At 10:05, you had a pattern 6. You were waiting for it to come up to right here,
Order pending.
the blue line.
Order filled.
Your original risk on crude. Again, we have no idea if the trade's going to work, but we can treat the setup appropriately. Right here, the signal was in the direction of the trend. Your original risk was from 66 to 60, so a 6-tick risk, which means now this trade is a pullback trade with a 6-tick
Order pending.
risk. So because of that pattern 6 pattern right here, Nathan, we can use a more advanced pullback into that blue dot. The 10:08 signal being a buying pressure signal, obviously hurting us a little bit here. This would be a place where we'd say, maybe I don't take this trade. I don't want to stand in front of a truck full of buyers. But that is the correct execution of that pullback strategy. Good deal. After a 20-something tick move down, you give 6 ticks back. Get rid of all of the patterns, start fresh. Looking for a puncture of the white line down below. Okay, so that would be shorts in this area. Next trend signal is at 10:15. Oh, hello. How did I do that? That's fascinating. Anybody know how to transfer that craziness back over to the other side? I don't know how to do that. Oh well. Okay, so again, just to review, the trend is down. There were two trend entries on the ES, one at 845, one at the puncture of the consolidation zone right here. The next signal is at 10:15, and right now it is set up to become a pattern 4. If you look at your books that I gave you, look at how a pattern 4 behaves. And Nathan, can you see that pattern forming now on the ES chart? We're at a selling pressure signal. It's at a brand new low. And look at how the software, the time warp, automatically identifies it. Yes, Nathan, same pattern with the number on there. So I've taken all the patterns in the book and I've transferred them into the algorithm of the software. Let's watch and see what happens at 10:15 on the ES. Historically, when we see pattern 4s, that's what usually happens. On CL, short a break of 64.60. I haven't seen it. Hang on. Yes. Yes, Nathan. Sorry, I wasn't looking. I have a little rowing machine next to my desk here, and if I don't do something physical every day, I start to feel bad. Like I really feel sick. I've been going to a gym, Melissa. What do you think of that? I got your kombucha. The guy's been breaking me every other day. All right, let's do chest. Let's do back. We're going to do legs. All right, shoulders and abs today. Like, oh my God. Make it stop. Please. And it's really been helping. This time I've got a lot more discipline than I've had, and a lot more motivation too. It's helping me stay in line. I'm seeing results too, which is very encouraging. I'm definitely excited about the results part. I did sit in the massage chair. Earl, it was wonderful. Felt really good. I was really nervous though because last night I started feeling these little, you know how your leg falls asleep and you feel those little pins and needles? He had, it was the second time actually, he had me do these chest exercises. And I didn't realize it takes 2 days sometimes for those little muscle fractures to heal. And I'm sitting there on the couch and I feel these, they're not pains, but they're like, it almost feels like little popcorn kernels in your chest. And they're kind of popping. I'm like, what the heck? Am I having a heart attack? And he said, no, those are the chest muscles that we broke when we did the training, healing. There are new fibers forming. I was like, whoa. I don't remember ever feeling that before.
Order pending.
NQ set up.
Order pending.
I missed the entry. It didn't pull back and fill me. If you are short in the NQ, same scenario, guys. Nothing new here. You're looking for 150%. Okay, we're filled. Break even plus is 31.75. Let's see if they have enough drive to get it down. I'm going to say that if it hits this, I'm going to stop and reverse. Just so you know, looking for a reversal here, a stop below the open of the candle. In the other direction. We'll see. Try the trade both ways as a failure and a short.
Order pending.
One of the things I hate about the NQ is it'll like just hit your stop, tease you, and then go the other way sometimes.
Order filled.
Yep, just like that.
Order canceled.
But that's what happens, and I let it go. You know, there's no other way to come at it.
Order
You sell it a second time with the same stop, right?
Order
ES is a 10-15 selling pressure signal. Right here, the appropriate entry would be the close of the candle. Right there.
Order filled.
NQ second time.
Order pending.
Big battle here right now in this area. Break even, can't lose money on the trade, touch my target.
Order canceled.
I'm out.
Order canceled.
Target touched on the second time. We went after the NQ. Nathan, if you're short on GC, you have a very clear stop right here. One tick above at 0.3, and it was just touched. CL short 10-15 on the close of that candle. Stop just above at 83. 2-to-1 risk reward. Minimum 5-tick risk, 79 to 84. Would have been a 10-tick target. So on crude, entry here, exit here. On the Dax at 1010, the last signal with trend was here. Stop above the blue line. You're at break even, Earl, which means your stop, which was here, just got tagged on the way back. So all flat on the Dax. NQ 1019 signal, looking for bullish behavior now in the NQ until 1030. So aggressive long entry, which is counter trend at 1019 right here. Or we can trade a breakout of the bottom right there. But right now the NQ is time-wise in an uptrend. From the moment this blue line was punctured, it tells me that the NQ is reversing trend right here. There's a strong effort to reverse the trend the other direction. Good job, Nathan. Yeah, if you want to figure out a way to get the warp running for you, you let me know. We'll figure it out. Okay, 30 is the entry. Let me blow it up here. 29.50, so 34.50 is our maximum stop. I don't like this area of crude right here. I'd rather be away from it right now. I feel like, again, the market's going to go up from here based on that green line. And we're in a transition period right now.
Order fill.
34.50, 29.50 is my max stop.
Order canceled.
Come on, prove me wrong. There it is, next seat.
Order pending.
Let's see if we can get a run to the border. Yo quiero Taco Bell! Make a run to the border. Go, you turd. Go. Don't stop. Hold on to that feeling. Don't stop believing. You know you want to do it. Don't. No. Go. Just another one of those big blue ones. So we're up $7 on the NQ. We were up a lot more than that a second ago. Let's see if they can stab it up. 1020 signal coming on GC. Clear the board. CL, clear the board. Is this webinar helping everyone today? I made a concerted effort to bring my best energy this morning. And I'm sensing a change in the way I approach things. If you guys don't like it, tell me, I can calm it down. Clearing the board on the Dax. Had a really good session here so far, I think. Come on, NQ. Okay, thank you, Carrie. $10.15. Okay, we're moving now into the next signal on CL, which is at 10:36. Yeah, NQ is insane today. That's right. The next signal on the NQ is at 10:30 on the time warp. Nick N, can you see why I wanted you to look at the warp closer on the NQ? Not being a jerk about it, just wanting you to see why. Come on, you little turd bucket. Is there a way to do that? Yeah, I guess there is. NQ, what happens the closer we get to that blue line? NQ, what happens the closer we get to that blue dot? ES, what were we expecting at the pattern 4? That was interesting. Huh. Okay, remember what we were looking for the ES. Can you guys see what happened when you compare these two patterns together? That's one of the reasons why I love Time Warp. It's telling me what to expect, reminding me about these time price patterns. Okay, so NQ, if you have your thing way down here, we're done. Our window of opportunity is closed. We got all the way to 10:30. Nathan, Nick, we got to 10:30. Where was the entry? Ready? Entry is the close of the candle, 64, 68, 47, 25. Where's the stop? It's above the blue line. That's 48.75. Was that a good entry? Right here. Nick, I'm going to use the word amazing here. That was an amazing entry. Good stuff. Mucho bueno. So think about what just happened here. If you look at the NQ by itself, look at the last 4 signals in a row that were predicted in relation to what's still anticipated. We have the times in the future, right? Okay, so over here in gold, we're seeing, let's get rid of the drawing tools. Do you guys remember where I said the NQ was going to start to trend up? Remember me saying that? I'm going to leave those 2 lines up here. That's a technique that we'll be teaching in the Las Vegas conference here coming up. Okay, Chris Wagner, are you here this morning? Thanks, Don. So I made a video about the caveman system. I'm going to get you all a copy of it so you know this next thing I'm telling you, I'm not pulling it out of my arse like a lot of these vendors do, where they just make up stuff as they go. Nathan, that's great, man. In the beginning, you're going to catch those small break-even moves. You're going to catch those little winners. And as you use the software more and more, you actually develop a sense of which ones are working and which ones aren't. You're exactly where you need to be in your development. And I'm really impressed with what you've been able to do without the software, just watching. I mean, that really is... I can't even begin to stress how proud I am of what you've done so far. It's pretty amazing. Okay, there's a link in your box to a video where I describe the caveman method, and I just want you to see one setup, if I can find it, based off the pattern 4. Your entry. No. I point where it is equal. Here we go. So that way I'm going to try to find it so you can listen. 10 ticks. Crossover trade. I'm going to drop it down below the matrix exceptions. Here's the pattern 4s and pattern 5s. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see this video on my screen right now? The opening caveman grunts is me, yes. Okay, so when we have a pattern 4 like this, everybody, we wait for the candle, we wait for the market to come all the way back up to the dot. We wait for the market to come all the way back up to the dot. And you'll see in the video how I'm drawing that new stop. Okay? Let it fill up. I want you to see where that arrow is. Okay, you see that screenshot right there? Dennis, look at that screenshot. Here, I'll try to do it this way. Take a screen grab of this. And now watch what's happening on the ES right now. Can you see why I teach that pullback off a pattern 4 like that? The entry, Nathan, would have been all the way up here on the ES, not entering short here. And so it's gone up 1 tick and then gone down almost $4 off of that line. Only when you see the pattern 4. The pattern 4 says not now, wait for that. Okay, that's why that video, if you haven't watched it yet, it's super important that you get your hands in there if you're using the software. It helps you understand the way I look at these entries over the years. CL has a breakout entry right here. I'm waiting for my software to load. Stop above 67. Stop filled on the CL trade. Your entry short would have been here. Your exit, your stop rather, would have been 66. So you're out of that trade. On GC, which has been a killer market this morning, next signal for GC is 1049. You had a short entry at 1024 and another one at 1035. If you use the same method that we've been teaching all morning, your entry is at the close of the candle, 31.4. Break even is at 29.9. And right now your stop is right here. Your entry is right here. Okay. NQ has another long entry right here. Crossover candle. We'll see if we get
Order pending.
a continuation pattern up above. Catch another train, possibly. Oh, good session today. We've got about another hour left together. Hey, David, what would you like to know? Pattern 5, 1037 NQ signal. I had a thought the other day, Carrie, with this crazy rally that we've had for however many, a year now, since Trump's guys are in power and it's free money and interest rates or whatever and free tax refunds. I thought you could just look for every long entry in the NQ and just trade that with a small stop and see what happens. Every time Bezos makes a move, you're waiting right at that right time. Okay, 1044, Nick, selling pressure signal.
Order canceled. Order pending.
So for me, this is a place, Nick, where I'm thinking about getting out. $20 seconds left,
Order filled.
and I'm out.
Do you see why I got out, Nick? Long on the crossover, out at the opposite colored time, the predictive time that we were waiting on. Nice trade. Okay, Nathan, on CL, there was one puncture right here, right? It came back and took out the stop right there. The second puncture just occurred here, and it would, if you went at it a second time, which I don't usually do, it would require a stop above that candle, which just got hit. If you were short on the DAX, all flat, break even, all flat. Nathan, third touch on CL. Third puncture right here.
Order filled. Order pending.
If you went after it a third time, that would be your attempt right there. Okay, I'm back. You can see why we exited the DAX. The 1049 signal is the buying wave we were waiting for. So basically, you made it out flat. Never hit the 150. On the NQ Nick, do you see what happened at the 1050 signal? The entrance was at 857. Your stop is below the line. If you use a 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio, again, trend trade, breakout trade, 200% of the target was hit. It happens really quickly too, with almost no heat for $6. Nathan, that last punch here, this was the bottom, obviously, but it took us out with a loss right there. Dax Earl had a pattern 4 at 1034. We're moving steadily up now, just like the ES, until 1107. The next time signal on CL, if we look at the breakout of the day here, is 1104. Nathan, good job. Okay, so Nathan, we have a pattern 5 at the split, which is a selling pressure signal. I anticipate CL to experience selling pressure from now until the next signal, which is 1104. If you want to go long, it has to break above 88. On the ES, I'm going to do something I don't normally do. Wait, no, you know what? We're coming into the 1110 signal. Let's just leave it alone. I forgot there was a signal coming up. I said if there wasn't one, I was going to increase the sensitivity of it. Kind of a calm here in between signals. Green, red, green. Sellers are in control, Earl. Watch for a down wave here, everybody. Nick, pay attention to this 1056 signal in the mini Nasdaq, please. I feel like there's a Wrath of God candle coming here. That's the time. Here we go, guys. How did we know that? How did we know that? That's crazy. Dennis, look at the pattern 4 in the book. Look at the pattern 4 on the NQ right now. And compare the two. That's why I gave you the link to the book, bro. There's purpose in that. Compare what's on my screen to what you're seeing take place here. And then the way to trade it is right there. There's 3 whole pages dedicated to that. So the way to trade it is looking for a breakdown below the low, 2 ticks underneath it, which would put us at 49.75 for the short. Many times when you see the pattern 4 nick, the book explains this, there'll be a retracement to the 38% back up. You see how it tagged it so far, bro? There's the 38% tag on the way back up. So Nick, if it breaks this level, watch this, straight out of the book. This is the leg that got us here. It's retraced to the 38, just like this book page, right? This is just a standard bank play in time. If it breaks this level, it is highly likely that we'll go 100% down below the move, like right here.
Order pending. Order pending.
Carry, in terms of risk, your stop goes right above the highest peak of the retracement, where that 38 took place. It's kind of bizarre that a page in a book written a year ago is doing what we're expecting it to do at a key time based on a time pattern.
Order filled. Order pending.
All right, let's see. Let's see what happens. No guarantees. My father used to say there are no guarantees in life. He also used to say it's not what you know, it's who you know. I like that guy. I miss him. $11.04 selling pressure signal on CL. Boy, it sure looks like it wants to go, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Nick, what do you think of that? Straight out of the book, guys. So tighten up your risk, take profits, do whatever you want. Right, I'm expecting it to come down here. We'll see what it does. That was a good entry. Over on CL, we had another good entry. Nathan, did you grab that one? Signal in the direction of the trend. Close of the candle at the 1104 signal. Dot is at 77, stop is at 78. Once you know the risk, what do you know? Once you know the risk, what can you calculate? You can calculate the reward. Target filled, $180 per contract. Nathan grabbed the short for 10 ticks. Nathan, 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 Nathan. Okay, on the DAX, we're up here at the 1107 signal. We'll see what the market does there. Oh, my time stop is starting to kick in on the NQ. I'm getting really close to that 1109 signal here too. So the closer we get to that white dot, we actually have a reason beyond our guts to think about getting out of the short, right? 1109 is coming. There are buyers behind that door. How much longer can we tolerate that short not going to target, right? So the closer we get to this line, the more appropriate an exit strategy is, right?
Order filled. Order canceled.
1110 signal on the ES is also a buying pressure signal. 1109 on the NQ, 1110 on the ES. Wonder what's going to happen here in a few minutes. Let's see. I'm going to run to the restroom. I'll be right back. Great session so far. You are monsters. Hey, what happened at 11:09? That was pretty bonzo, wasn't it? Holy hell. So 2 signals. The one in the NQ at 11:09, just before we got out of the short, warning people, hey, this is an area we should look for. In 11:09, bazinga. ES at 11:10, look what we were waiting for. And on the DAX, look what happened after our selling pressure signal at 11:07. All right, Earl, at the split in the DAX, you can see where the selling pressure signal with trend was. The next signal here is about 5 bars away. We want to keep our eyes open for that, okay, coming into that signal. I'm going to reload the Ninja script on the gold charts, get that chart refiltered out of the way. On the NQ, the next short opportunity exists at the puncture of that white line. Gold, you had a short at 11:14. Again, using the same setup that I taught you. The short occurs at the close of the candle. Your stop is 5 ticks or more this way. 33.4, 33.7, so that would be 33.9. Minimum tick. And then we're looking for a 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio here.
Order filled. Order pending.
Let's see what happens on the NQ here. There's the breakout. 45, 50, 50, 50 is my maximum risk, 10 ticks. There's the 8 ticks I talk about in every one of the scalps. So when we have these puncture trades, almost always 8 ticks straight out the bottom of this. So you definitely hit your target in gold, finishing up that conversation here for 10 ticks on the short. I'm gonna keep things tight today on the NQ and just grab targets where I can. And otherwise, I don't have a chance to focus on the markets that the rest of you are watching. So that's that. Steve, I would agree with that concept, that observation. we're going to really dig down into that concept in Las Vegas too. Yeah, the original stop was here. Vegas is the last Monday and Tuesday in March. I think it's the 26th and the 27th. It's going to be our best event in the 6 years plus that we've been doing it. I could teach it right now. I'm super stoked about it, actually. Yeah, Barney, exactly. This one's can't miss. Miss it at your own peril kind of thing. All right, I don't know how much more we'll get out of gold today. It has been a golden goose that just keeps giving and giving and giving. When she works, Tim, that's how she works. She just continues to offer those setups to us. The closer I get to 11:30, that's usually when I stop for the morning. I've just noticed out of habit that around 11:30, this thing starts to wind down. Traders are asking each other where they want to go for lunch that day. You want to grab a beer, you want to go to the strip joint, whatever these knuckleheads do. But every one of those signals that I taught about last night in the webinar, you can see what's happening here. Eventually, one of these blue dots gets punctured. Eventually, one of the blue dots gets punctured. And when it does, it tells you that the trend is over. Okay, so Nathan over here, if we hit and go through that blue line, it actually provides information to us. Because if we go through this line, if we get to here, it tells me that the trend is probably over in gold and it'll start to go the other way. Bing, right there. How do we know that? So now right here, this becomes a trade setup in and of itself. And we can say long-term trend entry, stop below the existing structural low. Initial target, blue line, right here. That can be the first place where we see that. No, David, it does not. David, hang on. I have to write something to you in an email. Dave, stand by. Stand by. Dave, can you check your email and tell me if you saw what I wrote to you just now? Yeah. That would be great. Where's our DAX? There it is. Okay, so DAX entry short again would be below this line right here, Earl. How many ticks do I have from here to the dot? I have from there to there. So over here, that's where our green arrow would be. Stop run on the DAX, opportunity for a long entry right here.
Order pending. Order filled.
Stop below this low.
Order pending.
The banks ran the stops right at the buying pressure time. Let's see what they do with it. Let's see if we catch a quick reversal back up. Counter trend signals for me are notoriously dangerous. On the NQ, we have the pattern 4 signal. The pattern 4 signal in the NQ requires that we wait for the market to come all the way back to the blue line. It didn't. So now we're waiting on the 1128 signal here. $11.28 buying pressure signal, Nick. Let's see what happens. And then, guys, we have about 3 more minutes left together today. $11.28. Look at what happened here. Pattern 4, Nick, next to a pattern 1 is something I call a 1-2 punch. It is a time double bottom. $11.30 selling pressure signal on the NQ. $11.24 puncture trade available. Untouched right here. $11.32 signals coming up. We won't be here for that. We're going to close the webinar here in just a second. Look at what happens, Nick, at the 11:30 signal. Big red fat candle right here. They're trying to hammer it down. Yes, we're at the 11:35 window. We can see what happens after that here momentarily. Yes, James, everyone who comes to Vegas is going to will exclusively receive the scorecard indicator. It's the only indicator that tells you what the optimal look back value and swing strength setting is for the market that you're trading. We've stopped development on Warp and Prime, and now we're developing software that optimizes the settings to tell you what settings are the best settings. Is it a 714.8? Is it a 00018? So we're leveraging the technology that we have to pursue those pieces of information, right? If it was just that, if that's all we spoke about for 2 days, it would be worth what we're asking. Okay. NQ 1130, signal with trend, stop above the blue line. Let's see if there's any follow through here. Entry at the close of the candle. Once you know the risk, you know the reward. Break even is at 68.3825. See if there's any follow through. 1132 signal on CL. I don't take any CL trades after 1130, but you know the rules if that was something you're going after. Short here. Break even hit on the NQ. You're now moving your stop from 43.50 to 43.25. Your final target is down at 36.25. Hey, what did we say would happen in gold, Nathan, at that white line, remember? Gold, we were waiting for what? A trend reversal based on the time puncture? Did we see one? Yes. If you're long in the DAX, you should be flat right now and getting out at 1134. Okay. So yeah, in gold. Up $120 at one point with how much risk? Come on. Can't get it to work. Computer's starting to lock up. Take care, Juan. Yeah, so just to refresh everybody's memory before we go. Look at what we've been waiting on and what we've been getting all morning in these markets, right? NQ is back at break even. You've got a few more dollars to go, Nick, till your target filled on the NQ short from 843.75 to 836.25. The only one left in the direction of the trend is the CL setup, and you're a few ticks away from 69. Your break even, you're up as high as 6 ticks in that trade at this point. Whew. Guys, you have a great afternoon in the pro room. I will talk to everyone here on Wednesday of next week in our pro room class. Check your training center for the recording of this session. I really advise you to go back, get the recording, go back and look at it. These two setups, the ones I've been showing you here, can be very powerful. The puncture trade, the caveman signal with trends, brush up on that stuff, go through your books, learn it, memorize it, keep your stops small, keep your targets large and in charge.